live. Happy Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining. 6 people viewing at the beginning. I know this sounds dumb, but usually when we start, we have, like at the very beginning, there's only 3 or 4, so that there's 6 right off the bat. That's like 25% increase. So what's up, guys? How you doing? I have a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about, and some of it's personal stuff, and some of it is personal that leads to big stuff, and all kinds of things. So, Tim, what is up, buddy? How are you doing? Funny, Tim. I mentioned you to Brett today. Actually, we were talking about the hello, Heather. We were talking about the Pompano date, uh, and the house and how full the house was, and um, there was a couple questions about the capacity of the show with some agents and and some people in the middle, and and I actually said, "Well, you can call my buddy Tim. He'll tell you." House was completely full. He's like, "Well, I thought the house was full." So anyway, we talked. You were mentioned today in a business conversation. We got Misty and Robert and Teresa, Than, Lisa, everybody. Scott, what are you doing, Scott? How are you, brother? So you know, I have to say this like 6 times. If you've never been here before, I'm begging you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and help me get to where I'm trying to get with this. Brian Hartley, buddy, from Zanesville, Ohio, you are absolutely right. Uh, Brian wrote, "What's up, Pete? If it wasn't for the stage manager, you guys would still be playing last Thursday night." The Ultimate Acoustic Show the other night, we went through what everybody that's ever played with me uh, went through. Uh, is I have a habit. If any of you guys have been following me for the last probably if you've known me for 25 years, it's an interesting story that maybe I've never told, um, but I like to play until they make me quit. I'm not a play for an hour guy. I'm not. I go until uh, I have to stop, until someone makes me stop. Um, and the other night, the last performance of the boat, we were the last performance of the night on the boat, and I just kept going past our time till the stage managers were just literally trying to pull us. Normally, Chad wants to quit. Everyone I play with always wants to do exactly what's expected of us, and but Chad was in with me on the game the other night. They told us one last song, and then I said, "Can we do one more after that?" And they told me no, and were waving their hands. And Chad kicked in to play another song, which was "Cry Tough." But it just just him saying that reminded me that I thought maybe I would just tell the story about why I do that. I know that once I joined Brett's band and many people started coming to see Evick, they couldn't believe that we would play 3.5 or 4 hours straight with no breaks in between. And if you ever saw that, uh, what maybe you never noticed was it was strategically put together where we would get breaks. I would do a song solo acoustic so the guys could pee, or I'd let Chuck sing a song and I would run to use the bathroom. But for the most part, the show was 3.5 to 4 hours long. And so I will tell you guys how we started doing that. When you're in the club band circuit and you're a cover band guy, and I don't know, Tim, I don't know your history enough to know that if you were ever a circuit cover band guy or not, but maybe you'll understand the story. Um, yes, Tyson was playing with me. um, so we used to play this bar in Annapolis called Middleton's. Um, and there's a part of Annapolis that is just a strip of bars, just like every town has, where you go bar hopping. But this was in Annapolis, Maryland, where the Ram's Head is. But around the corner from that is a different section, all kinds of bars. And this one particular bar is famous because George Washington ate dinner at this tavern. It's been there that long. Middleton's Tavern is called. And they have this little roped off section at the table that George ate at, and other than that, it's just a full on bar partying, and but we played there several times, and we would play the first set, and you couldn't walk in the place. You just couldn't. It was so packed. And then when you finish the set, the place completely empties out. Excuse me. And I found out that what happens is everybody goes to the next bar and bar hops, but they would wait till the set was over. And then the rest of the night would never pick up quite like that. And what a dilemma that is when you're a cover band and you have 45 songs you're playing a night, and you have to decide. There's always the dilemma: do we hit them with the good stuff first, or do we save the good stuff till last? When you're covering, normally it's 3 1-hour sets a night or 4 1-hour sets a night in a bar with half-hour breaks in between. So within the span of 4.5 to 5 hours, you have to choose. Again, do you hit them with the good stuff right off the bat and keep them and hope to keep them there, or do you assume the crowd's going to get thicker later and wait for it? It's way different mindset if you're playing it professionally and trying to gain an audience than it is to just be in an original rock band and playing for an hour. So I looked at Chuck one night when we were playing there after we'd done this a handful of times. I said, I can't take the audience leaving. Let's just let's just go and see if I can keep them all night long. And Chuck looked at me like I was crazy as usual. And we hit the first note, and we played for 4 hours straight that night. And it was the first time we'd ever done it. Uh, and not a single person left. I mean, I'm sure some people left, but the place was asses to elbows, uncomfortably packed the entire night. And I couldn't believe it worked. I didn't believe it would work, and it did work. And so from that moment on, unless the bar was specific about taking breaks, which a lot of bars are, um, that's what Evick's always done now. No breaks, no nothing. And so anyway, I've carried that on to other things I do, and usually Chad fights me on it. It's funny with the acoustic rock show. We look like we're winging it and having a blast, and don't care if it falls apart or not, which is part of the love and chemistry of it. But the truth is, Chad very much cares, and once he feels like the wheels are coming off, once the wheels once he feels like the wheels are coming off, he asks me to stop. We It's funny. We did this private party that some of the people in the room were at out in the Northeast, and we played at this guy's campground or whatever. And Chad called it quits. He said we were done, and then about 20 minutes later, I grabbed the guitar myself while he was preoccupied, and I probably played for another hour just by myself. I just love it. At the end of the day, I like to get paid what I'm worth, but if once the guitar is in my hand, it's the only thing I want to do I want to do that and then go to bed. I'm not a play my set, and I just want to keep going. So that was funny. I don't know why I brought that. Oh yeah, because Brian's statement about us being on the boat. So that moves on to with music stuff that I was going to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw. Everybody seems super super excited, um, but the Brett Michaels band is doing 6 dates with Def Leppard this summer, and possibly more. We're trying to get a couple more dates, and we've been running the Party Girl thing and building that brand. And if you've noticed, we haven't announced any of the Party Girl dates this year. That's because this and something else has been big in the works for this year to move. Moving Brett's gauge up a little bit. You know, it's usually those Def Leppard dates are saved for Poison, and this year they didn't even ask for Poison. They asked for the Brett Michaels band, and to be honest with you guys, I don't want to say this in a bad way. There's such a weird dynamic about what Brett and Poison and all this stuff. It's I think I've said before, Brett is grateful for where he came from. He's grateful for those guys. He's grateful for the songs. He likes things a little bit different than Poison likes it, and he likes doing it his own way. And you know what? Um, I'm gonna say it's interesting. Him, Dee Snider, Mark McGrath, who are all born on the same day. So strange. They all have a very similar situation in the fact that the weight of the world's on their shoulders. You know, Cece, who I consider a great friend and a hero of mine. Um, Cece doesn't have any social media presence or any presence. Bob Dahl has none. Ricky does, but you know, a lot of times Ricky offends people, and you know, even a couple days ago when the Def Leppard dates were announced, he went on someone's personal site and said it's not poison. Well, no one said it was poison. Nowhere ever anywhere in does it say it was poison at all. But my point is, the rest of the band, just like Twisted Sister and just like Sugar Ray, Brett carries the weight, Mark carries the weight, Dee carries the weight. The other guys don't. They don't do anything to move the brand forward. They just sit around and wait for, and they are the lead singers and it's their band. But, you know, that's why all three of them have also had solo careers. And there's moments where you go, yes, it was all four of us that made this happen when we were young and starving. But then 36 years later, when you look around and everybody's sitting around and you're the one carrying the work, it, it makes sense. Oh, Eric Spencer, what is up, buddy? I'm about to say all kinds of things. So, right now, I'm just talking about the Def Leppard dates. So, uh, it's super cool that we're doing some dates with Def Leppard. Those guys very nice. Phil Collin has played on the record with me and Brett before, and taught me an enormous amount of things. You know, if you're into the music business, you know that Mutt Lange is the greatest producer of all time. Produced the Def Leppard records, and vicariously through Phil, I learned a lot of how much worked and what he did. And what am I going to say, Eric? All kinds of things. My buddy Eric Spencer, who was my drummer in the band, some odd reason, when I was in high school, Eric's band was a band called AWOL, who were better than all of us. And no joke, they just had it together. They were better than all of us. Truth be told, they came from wealthier families, and they had better gear and better support than most of us. Whatever it is, whatever it mattered, they sounded great. I'll never forget. My band at the time opened up for them at Stonewall Jackson High School, put on a concert, and they played "Animal" from Def Leppard. Speaking of Def Leppard, and all of us musicians in town just sat there with our mouths dropped open. How does a band? None of us could figure out how to sound like that, and there they were. They sounded like that, and coincidentally, it's funny how you carry something over 40 years. In my brain that night, I just thought I'll never forget. No band can play Animal. How did this band play Animal? And so when my son started um, his band, he had a very what I considered um, optimistic set list. Maybe optimistic. I don't know if the word. He had a set list I couldn't believe because I still remember what it was like to be. I just remember what it was like for me to be young. And Animal was on his set list, and Animal and Still of the Night, which were two songs that Eric's band did in high school that no other band could do. And so my son comes to me, and I just went, "Oh my God, Gavin, you can't fucking do this. Even if you can pull it off singing it, which is ridiculous. Not that I didn't believe that he could, but they're hard songs to play as a band." And then he did them, and and it was great. It was great. I couldn't believe that he could pull it off, but Eric's band did. So that's Def Leppard. That's my history. That's my son. Uh, there's 15 minutes of that. So. Is Terry in with us? Yeah, there's Terry. What's up, Terry? Everybody, thank you for joining us. Um, so I'm going to talk about something personal for a second that has me so irritated that I almost thought about putting those glasses on that I have and live streaming this right now, and it ties into some national news today. So I think that most of you guys know that I've told you guys before. I sold my house during COVID, uh, and I started renting an apartment because the market was the mark. Something Amazon had moved to Manassas, and it drove our homes up drastically. And I noticed all the homes in my neighborhood were for sale. And I'd been upside down for almost 15 years because of the giant crash. I'd refinanced literally the day before the crash at the top value of my house. And literally one day, my home, and this was, 20 years ago, one day my home was worth $450,000. And literally the next day, it was worth $180,000. I don't know if you guys remember or anyone went through that. So literally the second that I found out that I wasn't underwater anymore, I put my house up for sale. But it was COVID, and I didn't want to deal with what was going on, so I said, let's rent an apartment. And as soon as this is over, I'll buy a house. And I've always said that as much as I love Manassas, I've always said that once my kids were graduated, I was going to get out of here. I want to live in Arizona. I want to live in the Outer Banks. Now I want to live in Sweden. Some part of me wants to live in California. You know, not that I don't love Manassas, but I've been here 52 years, and I've seen the rest of the world, and I would like to taste the rest of the world on a different, more than hotel rooms and dressing rooms. So my point is, I moved in this apartment, and then the housing market did what it did, and I'm not I'm not buying a house in, especially in Virginia, at these prices with these interest rates. I've been through this. I know what happens. So my point is, I'm in an apartment. Uh, Nothing wrong with that. I don't have to cut the grass. The only thing is the volume issues, but I can work with my headphones and the electronic drum set and create great rock and roll. No boundaries. Um, I don't have to fix stuff. I can call people and get stuff fixed. Uh, so there's a part of me that is feels crushed that I'm not a homeowner, because once I was a homeowner. But anyway, so I'm in an apartment. I love the apartment I'm in. They're beautiful apartments in a very quiet part of Manassas. Uh, and the apartment's nicer than my house was. But anyway, we don't have assigned parking. And when we moved here, that was the greatest thing to me. No sign spots. No, nobody's getting towed. Uh, Whatever, you can do whatever you want. I love it. Uh, so a couple weeks ago, they installed 8 uh, electric car Tesla chargers right in front of where my place is. Um, and the place is pretty crowded now, um, so parking gets hard, and it bums me out because when I first moved in here, the place was brand new, and and you could just the parking lot was empty. Now it's full. So here's my point: the space that I like to park in, that is usually open, and I think a lot of us have respect for each other as we go on. Oh, that's his spot. That's his spot. The spot that I like to park in for the last 3 days has a fucking Tesla in it, but yet 10 feet away are a bunch of reserve spots for Teslas, and then this motherfucker won't park in this thing. And I know whose Tesla it is. It's a nice guy. They have a dog that plays with Boba. Uh, but I'm so pissed off because the last couple of nights I've had to park in a completely different part of where I have to park. And I just thought, this motherfucker's Tesla can be right there. No, I'm not allowed to park there, but he's allowed to park here. I think that if your complex builds something for you like that, you should be fucking required to put your fucking car in there. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm bitter, but I almost live streamed. Nick, what's up, buddy? Oh, look, he said so. This guy wanted to talk about Ricky's band, and then he backed out. He sniped me. I saw that message before you retracted it. I wish Ricky well. I hope his band does fucking great. Brandon's a friend of mine, and I hope it's great. So whatever negative you have to say, brother, bring it on. I've done anything wrong to anybody, and I don't hide behind anything. So uh, so I was gonna live stream me walking out and put a note on this dude's car, the Tesla, to tell him to park his fucking Tesla in the Tesla spot. So that's irritated me. I'm over the edge irritated about that situation. But I'm not an anti-Tesla guy. That's not what it is. It's just you've got yourself a permanent parking spot, so don't take the one that I like. Put up a non-Tesla. I might do that, Dave. There you go, buddy. Smart Canadian. So that takes me to the world today, man. Have you guys seen all the Tesla on fire stuff? Like people burning Teslas down and people attacking the dealerships and stuff. Have you guys seen that? Again, I'm watching the chat room. I wish the chat room was faster, man. I feel like I waste a lot of time. But have you seen that? Like if you look at the news today, if you haven't looked at the news, that's what it is. There's people burning the Tesla cars and all this kind of stuff. And it, it again, this is world news, and I'm going to bring it back to something personal and big. Again, it all kind of works together. Uh, yeah, but Tim, if you take a look, it's all over the place. It's not. It's been in Vegas. It's been in Tennessee. It's all over the country today, almost like it was timed. It's they're burning the Tesla cars up, and I take this stuff personally um, as a business owner because um, all this, a year ago, the brand Tesla and the car were the greatest fascination in the world. Everybody loved it. Everybody had to have one. Uh, I see, Eric. So you see the protesters in Colorado. Yeah, Kansas City, that too. So, and God knows what's happening while we're talking. Um, I have a weird take on this, and it'd be interesting to see your guys' opinions. Is you can hate you, you can hate Elon all you want. He's he's one strange motherfucker, and he's one strange motherfucker, but he employs thousands of people that are innocent to this, that have jobs, that are just working to feed their families, whether it's at the Tesla dealership, an auto mechanic, a numerous amount of jobs. He may employ 100,000 people. I don't know. Um, right, right, Dave. You get exactly what I'm saying. So I understand protest, but the car is a great car. And just 1 year ago, it was the greatest thing in the world. Nothing has changed about that, and so that brings me to my point on a personal level. Uh, you know, uh, I remember a few years ago there was a huge protest because the guy that um, I think owns Chick-fil-A hunts elephants and big game and rare game. So yeah, he's an asshole. He should be shot in the head. What a fucking complete fucking moron, right? But Chick-fil-A employs thousands of kids that are just trying to earn a little bit of money while they're in school at your local level. And people don't think about that kind of stuff. Your protest is not going to make the guy not rich. He's already rich, whether it's Elon or whether it's a guy from Chick fil A. Protesting Chick fil A, all that does is put local jobs in jeopardy. Kids just trying to. It just it doesn't make sense to me. And I went through this. I went through this personally, early on, when Sarah was a partner in Shining Soul, for those of you guys that knew or know Sarah, um, I had another super close friend of mine that was also a small business owner. Uh, Wrote me this letter at one point that just said, I'm so unaligned with Sarah that I need you to know I can't support your business anymore. I will not be buying any candles from you ever again." And this was a person very close to me, man. And she happened to be a gigantic Kiss fan. So I used this example. I said, like me, you're a giant Kiss fan. Um, you probably would hate Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley. They're polar opposites, so there's a good chance you hate one of them. But are you going to not love Kiss for the rest of your life? I'm supposed to be one of your best friends, and but that's not as important. Your love for me is not as important as your hate for my other partner. Uh, I'm small business and I'm trying to survive, and you're going to protest me. It, on a personal level, that moment's what changed my life and my point of view on this kind of thing. And it went as big as corporate America. Uh, Let me see what Eric said. It's a great car, but buying one now requires you to take on a political identity. No fault to everyday Joes who work for Tesla, but Elon's choices took Tesla off my list. Understood, Eric, that it took you off the list. Whatever reason you don't want to, but burning those things down and causing the chaos, you know. And again, I'm not pulling my left or right stuff, but these are the same people that were bitching about how violent the January 6th was. Nobody January 6th set a $100,000 car on fire. Again, January 6th was not right. It was the stupidest thing anyone's ever done in our country. But it's the pot calling the kettle black when this stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? It's it's so ridiculous. But again, setting those cars on fire today, that didn't hurt Elon. You can't hurt the guy. I hate to say it, but so instead you've hurt a, a local dealership and some employees that live in your town. And that makes you an asshole. Yeah, well, nobody's kiss. I hear you, Eric, but you get my point. So that's kind of, why does my phone keep shutting off today with my topics? Uh, so that stuff has been on my mind all day long. Um, I'm all for peaceful protests, not damaging property. I'm just reading some of this. Protesters are hurting the front line, right? You guys get it, man. It's a really wacky thing. Uh, so a couple things I wanted to ask is, I behind the scenes I see that a bunch of you guys are watching the Eagles now. Uh, you know, after I was talking to you guys about the eagle and how fascinating it was, I went out to find out that the one of the eaglets of the three had passed away, and I think maybe that was, I already knew it passed away when I told you guys. I was devastated, right? I think I told you guys that, but I'm glad I was able to turn some of you guys on to watching that eagle cam. It's super super cool, man, and I'm glad some other people got it. I've gotten a lot of texts and emails from friends that thanked me for turning them on to that, and you know, which reminds me that, my friend Jackie told me to bring this up. A couple weeks ago, I asked you guys all to check Bashar out, and I've gotten some information. But anyone that hasn't texted me or talked to me personally, did anyone decide the verdict? A couple of my friends called bullshit on him. A couple of my friends thought it was completely legit. The you know, again, one particular person told me that it was, the thing that sucked is he's so believable, but he's charging for it. And why would anyone channeling a supernatural extraterrestrial being have to charge for that information? So yeah, it's interesting. So that moves me to uh, the next thing that I was going to bring up. I always try to tell you guys or turn you guys onto something that I'm into and watching. And uh, there's this guy. I don't know his name, but he has a podcast or a YouTube channel called Area 52. And obviously, it's into all this stuff that I'm into and study. And he's one of those guys that wants to believe, but finds the holes in everything. And he's so fair and so non-biased, but he dives so deep into things. If you check his site out, it's called Area 52, and he has there's two things in particular. One I was watching right before this is and I think I've talked about it a little bit before. Uh, he There was something called the Gateway Project that the CIA did, and it's completely documented. It's completely there's whether it works or not is not the question, but the CIA had this program. It's 100% real, where they were teaching out of body experiences and how to astral project as a weapon. Um, but they were using technology to do it. Frequency to shake you out of your body, and wearing headphones and different. You can go to this website and it teaches you how to do it. It teaches you how to do it. Anyway, this guy that runs the Area 52 site, he did a three-part series about he went to some school that taught him to do it, very skeptical, and then he did it, and it happened and it worked. Chris Ramsey, yeah, man, Jeff, that guy's great, and he's funny, but he's legit, man, he's legit. So um, so I'd watched the first couple parts, but I hadn't watched the final episode where he was able to finally take what he learned and do this himself. And he's so shook up, he's so afraid. Yeah, the Monroe Institute, exactly, Jack. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, but he did it. It worked. He had the out of body experience. He explains a lot of intense things, and he was scared about it. It wasn't like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna do this every night of my life. He took it very, very serious, and he's such a skeptic. So if you got the time to go back and watch this episodes, it's fascinating to see someone that's a non-believer have to be faced with the fact that it's real. And he's a lot like me. He's a lot like me with admitting these incredible experiences that he's had in his mind, but also understanding that it may all be his imagination. Our imagination is powerful, you know. So, but he also has this thing. And I think I told you guys before. This ties in again to everything. There's a fairly new term called crypto-terrestrial, and it explains that if you're a believer and you're into this kind of stuff, it explains that the reptilians and the greys, or any species that is considered alien species, may not be from outer space or interdimensional like I believe the greys are, but that they're cryptoterrestrials and they live in the earth. Again, it's not Hollow Earth. It's not Godzilla and King Kong. It's not uh, who is it? The I keep wanting to say Harry Potter, but it's not Harry Potter. It's the Lord of the Rings stuff. It's not that. There's not a sun. There's not a there's it, They just live in a cave system underneath the earth because they were a species here when the great tragedy came and survivors went underground and learned to live. But they're evolved millions and millions and millions of years more than us. And so there's these things called the Lucerda files, and I believe it was a guy from Sweden who came to befriend one of these cryptoterrestrials, which is a reptilian. Uh, and there is a documented 2 hour long interview with this um, cryptoterrestrial that they call Lucerda. Um, right, like V. Um, and also, I don't know if you guys ever watched this other guy. AJ, he has a show. He has a YouTube channel called the Y Files, very similar to Area 52, um, where he just talks about these things that I talk about, but then they go way deeper in their production value of this stuff, and then they kind of debunk it or don't debunk it at the end. They do the research. Um, but both of them have done episodes on these Lucerda files. Um, it to me it seems hokey, but it's so intense and well written. Whoever produced these documents, that I would have to tell all you guys, if you have any interest, look them up. The Lucerda files. It's at best it's incredible entertainment if you're interested. If it's true, it makes sense. Everything about it makes sense. That like if you have enough in you to believe anything, you know, not to offend anybody, but I find it hard to believe that people believe in a God they've never seen. And I find it hard to believe that people believe that the Jesus story. It's just something that, if you believe that, then why don't you believe that there's a species under the earth living for 30 billion years? Earthworms live under there. All kinds of things live underground. Why wouldn't there be some other species? Like, if you can't accept that it might actually truly be a possibility, then you're insane, especially if you believe in a God you've never seen, but you don't believe in that, But it's called the Lucerda Files, and the guys, Area 52 and AJ with the Y Files. I urge you guys, if you're into this stuff, check it out. Check it out. Yeah. So, um, 33. I gotta say it again. If you're new here, please hit subscribe. Try to get a few subscribers every episode, and hit the like button. We're at 23 likes to 33 viewers. That's the highest ratio I've ever had. I still would like the amount of likes one day to equal the amount of viewers. So if 7 of you can hit that like button, that'd be great. I'll do it. I'll check it out. I'm curious about your opinions on the whole Skinwalker Ranch stuff. Eric, that's a conversation. For you and me, that's a conversation that, you know, my buddy Eric, we, Eric used to drive the van through the night, most of the nights during some odd reason, and I would be the one to sit up front with him. And we would have 4 and 5 hour conversations about things. There was even a night that we thought we saw something enough that we stopped the van and we thought it was following us around, somewhere between Colorado and Kansas City, I think, on whatever long stretch of road that was, late at night. And yeah, Eric was with me when we thought we saw something. We can't prove anything, but we saw something and we felt like it was following the van. Right, Eric, or do I not remember that at all? That's what I remember, but these days I don't know if my brain plays tricks on me anymore. But there's, I don't even know which reality I'm living in anymore, because I believe we are slipping in and out of realities. But oh, it was Arizona. Well, there you go. There you go. So Skinwalker Ranch is an interesting place. Uh, that's what Jeff Marshall just said. After I went to see Whitley's Cabin and I found out that Whitley's Cabin was on sacred Indian land, it made a lot of sense to me, because I've also spent a lot of time in Sedona, and Sedona was on sacred land. And I think I've told you guys that I think I told you, with my son Gavin, who was there, I've had some incredibly unique experiences in Sedona. One particular that uh, really changed my life in a lot of ways, um, and that's on sacred ground. So I have to put into play that whatever's happening on Skinwalker Ranch, I don't know. I don't believe that Indians themselves made the ground sacred, but I believe that they were able to be in touch with the earth in a different way, and were able to find these places that were mystical and magical. And I just know, you know it. Eric, I don't know if you saw, I'm going to lunch with Whitley Strieber uh, on Friday. I'm so excited. I don't even know what to say about it. You know, might turn out that I think he's a douche. I don't know, but I don't think so. I don't think. I'm hoping that we hit it off and everything's great. Um, where was I at with that? Oh, so yeah, Eric, I'm going. I am 100% on board with that thought. Um, so you know that while we're sitting here talking, I think that the JFK files were actually released, like literally during this last hour. I don't know if any of you guys are watching the news or see anything, but apparently they were. I don't know. It'd be interesting. It's funny. I really don't fucking care. I I care to hear the conspiracy and find out that we've all been lied to because I want nothing more than proof that the government lies. I want nothing more than the constant proof. Um, but as far as the JFK thing goes, it's nothing I've ever really been interested in. But I'll be curious to see what it says. Uh, they weed today. What does that mean, Dave? What does that mean? Oh, there you go, Jeanette. uh, you know, um, so last night I was watching this thing, and I thought it was kind of, I thought, I thought it was kind of corny, but unfortunately, I spent all fucking day thinking about this. There was this guy, again, he was talking about, he was using the Matrix movie and some different things. You know, there's this whole subset of people now that are really starting to believe that some kind of version of the Matrix is true and we live in a simulation. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Maybe, but this guy was talking about how when the when when a when a human being dies, apparently the brain continues to think, process for 7 minutes, and in that 7 minutes, just like when we dream, if we dream something that looks like it takes like it lasts for a year, is can literally be a second. Once our consciousness is out of the space-time realm that we understand here in this 3D world, time is something completely different. So our brain can process multiple lifetimes of visions, thoughts in that 7 minutes that it lives on after we're dead. So he was talking about how from the year 2000 till now, nothing has really nothing is like it ever used to be. Like almost time stands still. Uh, as far as like pop culture, and he talks about the 60s had a look and a feel and an image, and the 70s had a look and a feel and an image, and the 80s had a look and a feel and an image, and the 90s and all this stuff. And then we get to this decade, and there's there's not there's not a defining, you know, the 2000s or the tens. There's not a defining culture or evolution of culture. Nothing is really, everything's just a swirl. And it's fascinating when he talks about it. And he talks about perhaps the world did end, uh, you know, in 2012, the Mayan calendar. Maybe the world did end, and all of this that we're in right now is just all of our brains collectively are conscious, and it's only 7 minutes on Earth time, but we're thinking out our lifetime and living it as a conscious together. It's a fascinating thing to think about, I think, because again, being a doomsdayer and believing in the fantasies a lot, uh, I waited. I didn't buy the 1999 shit. I didn't think the world was going to end in 1999. But the Mayan calendar thing, there's something merit about it. And I've often said this: the Mayan calendar ran out the December 21st, 2012, whatever it is. Um, and everyone thinks maybe that was the end of time, but it could have been the start of the end. It could have happened, and we're in the end right now. Um, it's weird stuff to think about how that all works. But it was very interesting to watch this guy just talk about how there's that for the last 25 years there's been nothing, uh, and he was really talking about pop culture and stuff. But it was uh, it made a lot of sense. There's nothing that says you're so 2010. you know, like we say you're so 80s or you're so 90s or whatever, uh, or so is all of that just over? I don't know. It's interesting. That's all I have to say. Uh, oh, Eric, man, I just keep thinking about all those car rides now. Let me tell you guys something. I don't know if I've ever told the story, and I wish I could just chime Eric in, and I might have to have when I start doing guests. Eric might have to be one of my first guests, because we shared a lot together in those some odd reason years. We shared so much, uh, and the stories are great. But if he could talk right now, he would tell you that this is just a funny story. And I don't remember where we're at, but we used to drink a lot, and uh, I had this Boba Fett helmet with me out on the road. Very authentic looking helmet, not a like it looked like the real fucking thing. And Eric, if you're there, tell me where we were because I never remember where we were. The one thing I don't remember in all the years of touring and some other reason that van, I never know where we were. We went from California and back and all around the country, and I just don't ever remember where we were. Um, but we were driving the van and it was late and we were drunk as fuck and we stopped at this gas station in some desert town. It had to have been New Mexico or Arizona, but I'll wait for Eric to tell us where it was. And it was run down, it was deserted, it was a town that just felt like trouble. And I decided we were going to go in. Well, I didn't decide. We stopped. We were going to go in and get gas and go in and get whatever we can get. But I decided I'm going to wear the helmet, the Boba Fett helmet. And as Eric would tell you, I'm not an actor, but when I put that Boba Fett helmet on, I was in character. I was fucking Boba Fett in my brain, especially when I was drunk. and um, it didn't occur to me that how suspicious and uncomfortable it would make anybody for me to walk in there. I just thought it was going to be funny. And Eric is like, they're going to think you're robbing them. What the fuck are you doing? And as the story goes, it was my silence and my posture and literally me acting like I was a bounty hunter. Uh, I think that really creeped the place out. And I remember I got a fountain drink and whatever I got. And apparently I walked up to the counter and I just silently, as Boba Fett would, put the drink on the counter. And like the people didn't know to call the cops or what the fuck was going on. But they rang me up and I just bought it and I walked out. And when I walked out, everybody in that fucking store, it was like I was a Bigfoot. They put their heads out and it looked like a movie scene, them watching. You're right, Tim. Boba Fett's the greatest character of all time. I wasn't going to tell that story, but it's funny on Facebook today, or every year about this time, I start posting about riding my mountain bike, and I got 5 miles in today. I used to do 20 miles a day. If I was home, I rode 20 miles a day every single day, and then once I got in a Brett's band, some of that fell apart. And the touring schedule got heavy, but I used to take the bike out on the road with me, and that's why another story about me and Eric, and literally, we would have my I would have my mountain bike in the trailer, and we would pull into town, and I used to love to ride so much, man, that like literally when we would pull up to a hotel before Bart or Eric would go in to get the hotel rooms, I was unlocking that trailer and riding my bike anywhere I could, all over the country, the mountain bike, and I love it so much, and it's uh, I just don't get to do it as much as I want to. I need the exercise, I need it to be healthy, but it's funny. I can't go to a gym. I can't sit in one spot. I can't stare at a wall. And I don't like to walk because it's not fast enough for me. So the only true exercise that I enjoy that I can get is the mountain bike riding. And and I was just thinking about it today. I mean, the Some of the reason stuff was almost 30 years ago, and even long before that, I was riding a mountain bike. And you think when you get older and you think about stuff you've been doing for that long, do you guys ever think about things you have been doing for 30 years? That, you know, I think when I first got my first mountain bike, I never thought I'm going to ride mountain bikes for 36 years. You know what I mean? It's interesting as age goes. I didn't think at 52 years old, I thought I would be, even though I had aspirations of being a huge success in some odd reason, I thought it would have all been over by now. If I was going to be rich, I'd be rich by now. If I didn't make it, I wouldn't have made it. But at 52 years old, I kind of thought, not that I didn't love music, I just thought you got old. My dad was old as fuck at 52. And so I kind of thought this would all be wrapped up by now. And I know that as the time goes now, things are different, and 50 is like 30. But it, sometimes I just get fascinated at things I've done for so long. I think about, for instance, the Pro Tools software that I used to record with. I remember switching from analog gear to digital gear. In my brain, that's still the new way, right? And again, I've been in Brett's band for 21 years. I was Pro Tooling way before that. So I think Pro Tools is 29 or 30 years old this year. And Eric knows I've been doing that since then. Uh, so it's been 30 years that I've been recording with the new technology. Where does that time go? I think I talked about before that I I remember the day that we sent the first MP3, that we mailed an MP3 to each other, and that was at least 25 years ago, a quarter of a decade. And a lot of people in the music industry still act like it's brand new. We're still solving the problem of file sharing. It's fucking 25 years old. You've had kids that have gone through college and started their own families. It's not the new thing anymore. But I remember the day that I hit send and sent an email with an MP3 with music attached to it, and I just thought the world had changed. I was so supportive of it. I believed that gave me the power to change the world. That I didn't need a record label anymore. I didn't need anybody. I was going to be able to put my music in the hands of anyone that would listen. And I remember that I used to kind of try to have this trick. If you remember Napster, uh, what's up, Johnny? If you remember Napster, I would put all the Some Odd Reason music up, but I would label it as Matchbox 20 and Kid Rock and the Gin Blossoms and stuff that was really hip right about that time, uh, and just hope that someone would find my music while they were searching for the new Matchbox 20 song. You know, I tried those kind of tricks. I'll never know if it worked or not. I don't know, but I worked hard at it, and I thought it was powerful. But again, we're talking 25, 30 years ago, and my question to you guys is all, where's the time gone? It's 30 years in a blink of an eye through my eyes. I mean, if Jeff Marshall's there, Jeff, it was 25 years ago that you were recording demos at my recording studio. 25 years ago, man. It's ridiculous. So back to the thing. I, did the world really end in 1999 or 2012, and this is all really just our brains fizzing out in the longest 7 minutes in consciousness? Perhaps. uh, the other thing I wanted to say today, that on the political side, I I guess Putin has agreed to a certain kind of ceasefire. where they're only not allowed to bomb energy infrastructure. Uh, See you, Tim. Like, what does that mean? Hey, only bomb over there, but you can still bomb over here. You, you can still kill people, but hey, you can still kill people, but don't bomb the gas station or whatever it means. Energy infrastructures. What does that mean? Power plants? Is that don't you can kill the people, but don't cut their electricity off? What the fuck, man? Like literally, what the fuck is happening in our world? What a 30-day ceasefire on the energy infrastructure. What is it? What the fuck? I don't even. I have no other words to say that. But when I was thinking about that today, it I did not know Putin was a bass player. That's interesting. um, the fighting is just insane. And I was thinking about something I wrote in my first book today. There's a chapter called Accept Everything. And I know that for a handful of my friends that read the book, this chapter really meant something to a lot of people. And it meant something to me, and it's been part of my life for a lot of years. But uh, I was remember writing the chapter, and I was talking about the whole thing is about what unconditional love means, and how we really don't understand it. If you've never read It's in the Moments That Make Us book, and the entire chapter was inspired by a book that I had read in the late 90s in a conversation that that a experiencer was having with an extraterrestrial. And in that experience, the the extraterrestrial was the guy asked, um, why aren't we allowed to be part of this intergalactic community? Why can't we come to the table? And the species says, because you have not evolved enough to accept everything. And on a dime, that changed my fucking life. Turned everything around. Made so much sense, you know. And I go back to the difference in us and the rest of the species on this planet is there's survival. We have to eat. We have to hunt. And I would always use an example of a lion attacks a zebra in the desert. Uh, sure, the lion feels pain. And you see this. You can see this in any, especially with YouTube. You can look up animals killing each other, eating each other, you know. And you can see the eyes. And you know there's pain and there's survival and there's fighting back. But what there's not is hate. At no point does the zebra who's getting his leg chewed off and still alive look at the lion with hate. You can read that stuff in the eyes. And as you get closer to humanity, primates you can see hate in their eyes. You can see it. It's something that's evolved, but it's the circle of life. It's as stupid as the Lion King movie. It's the circle of life. Most species on this planet accept everything. There's not hate. Where did hate come from and jealousy? Like, where does that come? And if if we are truly hybrids, that we were some kind of animal, whether it's primate or not, blend it with other DNA to become human beings, is is the is the alien DNA that's in us um, where the hate comes from? So do these beings that we all think might be peaceful and amazing, is that the hate? I, it's I thought about this most of my life, and I'm starting to think of it in a different way. But the but it's a fuck job. Jealousy is the root of all evil. It's where it all begins. Whether you believe like me that somebody made up Christianity to scare people, what are they scaring them from? They're scaring them away from having more power than you. You humanity Jealousy is a weird thing, right? Why aren't we all just happy for everyone else's success? Why aren't we just happy for uh, everything good? Why do I have to want the same guitar that someone else has and then get mad because I can't afford it? Or why is someone jealous of someone else's house? Why is someone jealous of someone else's partner? It it's what all the problems are for, or all the problems caused on this planet are based on jealousy. How do we? I used to talk about it as unconditional love. Why can't we love everybody unconditionally? I don't know that we can ever get that the emotion, but can't can't we can't we just get rid of jealousy? I would give anything to figure that out. It's the root of all evil. The Ukraine war is about jealousy. I want that land. You got that land. I want that land. That, everything. That's what everything's about. Anyway, that was that was basically the last thing I wanted to cover today. Just talking about that. I got strangely emotional about that. But you guys have given me another hour of your time on a Tuesday night. I hope I was thought provoking. I hope there was something funny to say. I hope that something I said made somebody think about something. And, I hope you had a good time. And thanks for the conversation and the chatting. Hit subscribe, hit like. I fucking hate that part, man. I hate that part. But you guys have a wonderful Tuesday night. Thank you for joining us. Let's go. Let's all go see what these JFK files say. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you for your time as always. I appreciate uh, you guys. Make it all feel like we're all less alone together, without a doubt. So I'd love to see where that guy went. That whoever he was that popped in and sniped me about Rockets band and then jumped off. It's whoever that guy is, if he's still on watching, I'm sorry if 21 years of Brett Michaels' hard work has offended you somehow. Ricky could have done the same fucking thing. You know, that's all. You guys have a great night. I'll talk to you later.